Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Story Hour. I am Valerie Valdes. My co-host, Daniel Marcus, started Story Hour to help people stay connected by telling each other stories around this virtual campfire. Our other co-host, Laura Blackwell, is also with us tonight. Hello, Laura. This is my first time hosting, so thank you all for joining me in this extremely awesome new experience. Welcome back to those returning. Welcome to those joining us for the first time. As always, we have two writers reading for their favorite nonprofits. Tonight's readers are Barbara A. Barnett and Marie Vibbert. If you are fortunate enough to help others during this time, please consider a donation to tonight's featured nonprofits, the Nature Conservancy and the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District. So tonight we are going to start with Barbara Barnett. She is reading for the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy began when leading scientists, committed citizens, and dedicated leaders came together with a shared vision to protect and care for nature. Today, its diverse staff, partners, and members impact conservation across more than 70 countries and territories. The Nature Conservancy is urgently taking on the dual threats of biodiversity loss and the climate crisis, maximizing resilience and benefits for communities. By letting science guide our focus and equity guide our execution, we can shape a better 2030 for our planet. You can learn more at nature.org. Marie Vibbert is reading for the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District. The Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District implements programs and practices that protect and restore healthy soil and water resources. Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District is unique in providing services that focus on the soil-water connection. As communities continue to look at development opportunities, the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District is able to provide valuable technical assistance that helps cities stay in compliance with their mandated Clean Water Act permits, while also assisting the development community with a better understanding of best management practice applications for stormwater pollution prevention. You can learn more at cuyahogaswcd.org. So, without further ado, we are moving to our readers. So again, Barbara is going to be first. Barbara A. Barnett is a Philadelphia area writer, musician, Odyssey Writing Workshop graduate, coffee addict, wine lover, and all-around geek. Her short fiction has appeared in publications such as Beneath Ceaseless Skies, Lady Churchill's Rosebud Wristlet, Fantasy Magazine, Cast of Wonders, Intergalactic Medicine Show, Daily Science Fiction, and Flash Fiction Online. Outside of writing, she has spent most of her career working for performing arts organizations, most recently as an orchestra librarian for the Philadelphia Orchestra and the Cabrillo Festival of Contemporary Music. You can find her online at babarnett.com. All right, Barbara, let me make sure that you can unmute here. Oh, there we go. Sorry. There.
Okay, I got it.
Take it away, Barbara.
All right. Okay, so last time I was doing a story hour reading, I read a whimsical story about death and grief. So I figured I'll read you another whimsical story about death and grief. And I think it's short enough that I might have time for a short flash piece afterward. But for now, I'm going to start with this one called Memories of Mirrored Worlds. At midnight on her 9th birthday, Allison Marie was crowned Queen of the Nightlands. She decreed that flowers should glow in the dark and that bats should dine with her at supper. At midnight on her 10th birthday, she was named Keeper of the Secret Word, which she whispered to her trusted steed, a giant frog who galloped through the moors. On her 11th birthday, Allison Marie was worshipped as goddess of the sky. She spread her dragon wings each night and breathed the stars to life with fire. But at midnight on her 12th birthday, Allison Marie became the daughter of a widowed man, and she made no more visits to her other lives. There is no memory in those worlds, she thought as she touched the cold, papery cheek of her mother's body. And so I shall remain in this world and be a servant of death. Like all of the others who do not dwell in the mirrored worlds, a strange voice said. The voice had no source that Allison Marie could find, for the people around her did not talk of magical realms. They did not speak with the cadence of a butterfly's flight. They filled the funeral parlor with floral-scented death and spoke of memories and such an unfortunate accident for one so young. I don't expect you to stay, another voice said to Allison Marie. This voice she knew, the man she was told to call father. He reached over her into the casket and fingered the mirrored brooch at her mother's neck. He turned the brooch this way and that, casting plays of light across the wall, across the ceiling, across the corpse. The light tinkled with the music only Allison Marie could hear, and she realized now where that other fluttering voice had come from. I should never have pulled your mother from the mirror, the man she was told to call father said, before skulking away. There came a flash of motion in the mirrored brooch, then a voice that billowed and floated like wings made of clouds. He has set you free, so make your decree. Which world shall Her Majesty reign in first? Her Majesty, Allison Marie. This is the only world there is, Allison Marie said, stroking a finger over her mother's too still hand. For I would forget her in any world but this. At midnight on her 16th birthday, a stranger arrived at Allison Marie's sleepover party, uninvited, in the bathroom mirror. Where Allison Marie's reflection should have been, the stranger twirled, a rainbow-colored twist of phosphorescent braids and gossamer fairy wings. The mirrored world stretched for miles beyond her, showing no likeness to the bathroom's monogrammed towels and knick-knack littered shelves, but rather a field of purple grass and mushrooms that batted their large round eyes. For a moment that stretched as long as the mirror world was deep, Allison Marie stared, transfixed, and a little bit frightened at the way her heart beat in time with the stranger's dancing. She had not summoned this vision. Sometimes the mirrored worlds whispered to her, as they had at her mother's funeral, but they had never come unbidden like this, not until now. You have to leave, Allison Marie said to the stranger, quietly, so that her friends in the other room would not hear. You're not invited, and you're not a servant of death. The stranger's voice rang like crystal, too loud. Be quiet, Allison Marie whispered, her eyes darting toward the door so quickly that she thought they might tear themselves from their sockets and continue on without her. A burst of giggles, strangely leaden, sounded from the other room. Had they heard? Did they think she had retreated to the bathroom to hold court with her invisible friends? Allison Marie's cheeks flashed hot. In the mirror, the mushrooms burst into flames. Their eyes melted into white goo that drizzled down their charring stems. A scent like rubber bands and fire wafted from the mirror. The mushrooms screamed, and Allison Marie did too. Allie, came a tittering voice from the other room. It was a bug, Allison Marie said quickly, a really big spider. Yet no words or quickness could banish the unwanted remembrance, the memory of taunting that smothered her thoughts. Allie Marie, who sings to herself. Allie Marie, who's never quite there. Allie Marie, who talks with the mirrors. What world has she gone to this time? Their songs would start again, and they would start singing, and she would never belong where her mother had brought her. The stranger stretched her hand through the mirror. The glass rippled and fell around her diaphanous wrist like the sleeve of a satin gown. Return. The word buzzed through Allison Marie's thoughts. It coursed through her body like electrified blood. Dance through the lands where all will be as you decree. Ride your trusted toad and live forever and be queen of the nightlands once more. No! Allison Marie threw open the bathroom door. It struck the wall, crashed like her fear. All was quiet in the other room, but not because of her frenzied arrival. Her friends were staring at the man she was told to call father, who in turn stared at Allison Marie, who in turn hated herself for drawing him here with her scream. Why do you stay? He asked. Why should I go? Allison Marie replied. Each dared not answer the other's question, for they knew their reasons all too well. His look was a battle that said go and stay, and I want to forget all in one breath. But Allison Marie refused to let all memory of her mother fall into the oblivion of the mirrored worlds. At midnight on her 21st birthday, Allison Marie spied 1,000 strangers in the street-side puddles, bulbous, misshapen dwarves who drifted through a silken fog of dark, the stars twinkling in their hair. Allison Marie hurried faster, her umbrella catching in the wind. She tried not to look, but the puddles were everywhere. They did not reflect the city lights, nor show the slightest pucker as the raindrops struck. Their mirrored world was one where the floating dwarves bounced off each other with a gentle ping. Come play with us, the dwarves called in a chorus of childlike voices. Ping, 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 they went, leaving Alice and Marie drenched in the tintinnabulous sound. The dwarves were louder than the rain, louder than the honking cars and the chatter in the clubs and the alley bars. Their pings rang in Alice and Marie's head until her teeth ached. She dared not step on the puddles lest she fall into their world. Play with us, their calls continued. We will bound through the night and collect the stars in our hair until at last the dawn arrives. For a moment, Alice and Marie saw it. Herself bulbous and misshapen, the stars tangled in her hair, her voice one of innocence and abandon. She was not as she had been earlier, a slim, sweaty body pressed among so many others, trying desperately to dance to the beat of cacophonous, synth-colored music. Awkward because she did not feel the same pull, because the inevitability of death did not suffuse her every motion. Death would accept her service, reluctantly as it had her mother's, but death did not crave it. Her foot hovered above a puddle, buoyed by indecision, close enough to feel the ping of a dwarf against her spike-tipped heel. The touch reverberated up her leg. Her body pulsed in response, wanting to twist and shift and morph if only she'd just let go. Thoughts cascaded from her mind, a waterfall of memory. More sensuous than any lover's touch, this promise to burst into a new, forgetful form. A lover, she remembered. Her mother had had one, a servant of death, the man she was told to call father. He had pulled her mother from the mirror, and her mother in turn had pulled Alice and Marie. Again and again and again, she pulled so that Alice and Marie could be a queen by day, among death's servants by supper. But there would be no one to pull her back this time. The man she was told to call father had made that clear. A yank of her foot and Alice and Marie was stumbling backwards. A clatter of her umbrella, and then pain, blessed pain, as she fell upon the pavement. Her body soaked in the pain as her clothing soaked in the rain. She clapped her hands over her ears, as if to hold in the memories that her other lives threatened to drain from her. How could she forget the woman who had never once forgotten her? At midnight on her 30th birthday, while Alice and Marie sat writing in a mirrorless room, a new stranger appeared in her cup of tea. The stranger did not dance, but rippled on the tea's surface, shimmering like a slick of rainbow-infused oil, staring up at Alice and Marie with eyes that were round and owlish, an inhuman shade of pink. Fly with me, he said. His words drifted up on the steam rising from the tea. Alice and Marie could not help but inhale them. They smelled of sugar and feathered down. They caressed their way through her, stirring warmth and longing for the worlds beyond her reflection. Will you not fly with me? A tiny hand with a coat of pink and white feathers rose from the steaming liquid, untouched by the heat or the slightest trickle of dampness, as dry as Alice and Marie's mouth had gone. Leave me be, she said. The words sounded weak, so like her death servant's body, so unlike her memories. Let me remember her. And when you die, who will remember you? No one, she realized. Every day she flailed and she groped and she scraped her hands raw against the promise of love, but she had never learned to make her way in this world as her mother had. The stranger in the tea chuckled. He knew. He knew her for what she was, a fleshy, mortal bag of loneliness and grief, of desolation and unfilled yearnings. And he sang, Allie Marie, who sings to herself, Allie Marie, who's never quite there, Allie Marie, who talks with the mirrors. What world has she gone to this time? Alice and Marie shoved his winged hand back into the tea. She shook the mug hard, and his image drowned in a swirl of chamomile. But the memory of him, the lingering scent of sticky, sugar-sweetened words, trickled over the lip of the mug and down her hand. Alice and Marie returned to her writing without washing her hands. As it neared midnight on her 50th birthday, Alice and Marie removed the dust-bathed shroud from the only mirror she owned. For the first time in her mortal life, she recognized her reflection in all those strangers. All at once, she was luminous and dancing, squat and bulbous, winged and owlish. She was not alone either. A 12-year-old girl sat at Alice and Marie's antiquated roll-top writing desk. Cara, the daughter of a son of the man she was told to call father, her niece. My favorite is the one about riding the toad through the moors, Cara said, chittering like a cricket as she flipped through the pages of Alice and Marie's book. Her stick-like fingers brushed against memory after memory. All the other girls at school say they want a pony, but I want a frog steed. Kara had shown up at Allison Marie's row house doorstep earlier that evening, wanting to meet the estranged aunt who wrote that book she loved oh so much. Allison Marie thought it strange that the girl was out so late, but it was no matter. Her time for telling Kara more about bats and moors and toads was almost at its end. Have your friends read the book? Allison Marie asked. Kara froze, the next page only half turned. Her expression darkened into one Allison Marie recognized all too well. Loneliness. I don't really have friends, but yeah, people read it. It's pretty popular. Allison Marie smiled. That was what she needed to hear. They read it. They knew how a little girl once forgot this world and sailed along the rivers that flowed uphill, yet always returned to find memories of her mortal life waiting, ready to leap on her with the loyalty and overeagerness of the favorite family dog. They knew about her mother and they knew about her. They can remember what I cannot, Allison Marie thought, in death or any other realm. In the mirror, an impish, wrinkled woman smiled back at her. Paper-thin skin pulsed with 1,000 possible forms. Allison Marie grabbed hold of the mirror's gilded frame, ready to pull herself through. Her fingers stretched and plunged into the glass, lengthening their way into some new world to explore. What reason was there to resist now? My grandfather told my dad that he shouldn't let me read your book, Kara said, finally turning the next page. But it's nice to escape, you know? And it's not like my dad really cares what I read. He barely noticed when I walked out the door tonight. Allison Marie yanked her hands away from the mirror. Her fingers cramped at their abrupt return to human shape. Despite the pain, Allison Marie turned toward Kara. She'd never heard so much despondency in a voice so young. What about your mother? What about her? Kara's gaze remains fixed on the book, her countenance so plaintive that Allison Marie suspected the girl was seeing far beyond the crinkled pages. She took off when I was a kid. Allison Marie ached at hearing those last words, spoken as if Kara were so very old at only 12. For all of her own loneliness as a child, Allison Marie had at least found joy for a short time in her mirrored worlds and a mother with patience to match their magic. Her mother, a servant of death even at the end. Allison Marie took Kara by the hand and led her toward the mirror. Touch the glass. Kara regarded her with a skeptical quirk of her lips, but obliged nonetheless. Nothing. Skin rested against a mirror as solid as any other, leaving only smudges and fingerprints. Allison Marie feared the chance had passed. Okay, so what's... Kara cut off with a gasp. The glass enveloped her fingers, pulling around them like silken water. Glitter-coated hands reached out for her. Kara gaped, awestruck. Her own skin began to glitter in response. Go ahead, Allison Marie said, helping Kara climb into the mirror. It's time you rode a frog steed of your own. And so at midnight, on her 50th birthday, Allison Marie stayed behind as a servant of death, waiting to pull another from the mirrored worlds. That's the end of that one. I guess I have time for the flash piece, it looks like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so here we go. All right, this one is called The Girl Who's Going to Survive Your Horror Movie. Wee bit of a different tone on this one. Hi, you there with the big teeth and the appetite for human flesh. I'm the girl who's going to survive your horror movie. Yeah, me here in the driver's seat of the van. I know there are a bunch of rules and tropes and things for how this is supposed to go down, but before you unleash any more blood and mayhem on this little road trip my friends and I are on, I'd like to explain a few things to you. First, I'm not a virgin. I am therefore not eligible to serve as a sacrifice to your standard issue elder gods and other assorted demonic entities. In fact, I've already had sex twice during this movie and I enjoyed it too. Speaking of that sex I had, see my boyfriend there in the passenger seat? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. He looks like the guy who always dies first, right? Wrong. In fact, if I have anything to do with it, and I will because I'm your protagonist, he's not going to die at all. Also not going to die, My plucky, hard-drinking, chain-smoking best friend in the back of the van, who, FYI, is also not a virgin. But she's not going to survive because some dashing young hottie swoops in to save her. She's going to survive because she's smart and tough and totally hip to your particular brand of shenanigans. That's why she's my best friend. Not to mention that from her point of view, she's the protagonist and I'm the plucky best friend. As for Squirrely Guy, yeah, he's a different matter entirely. None of us even remember inviting that mouth breather along. Conveniently, our GPS and cell phones have all lost their signal. We asked that creepy old dude outside the taxidermy shop for directions, and he warned us to turn back. He was a bit ominous voiced and wide-eyed crazy about it, but he also seemed pretty serious. So you know what we did? We turned the hell back. Creepy dude looked really surprised. But you had another twist in store for us. Namely that collapsed bridge, curiously unmarked and lacking in work crews or police activity. I'm not thrilled about this oddly desolate route we've been forced onto, but we've got some old school paper maps and I navigate like a Viking. So far, we've passed an Indian burial ground, an abandoned town, an abandoned hospital, an abandoned carnival, an abandoned summer camp, hillbillies, a hitchhiker, a cabin in the woods, and some silver-haired kids peering out from behind corn stalks. Every damn one Squirrely Guy wanted us to stop, insisted he had to pee, so we handed him an empty beer bottle. I also busted his phone as soon as he suggested documenting our little adventure. I am not going to end up in one of those damn shaky cam found footage videos. As you know, we did eventually stop for gas. Squirrely Guy was immediately all, I'll be right back. We tackled him before he could wander off alone. We have a rule about not splitting up, especially when the rusty mini mart door is creaking in the breeze and there's nary a customer nor gas station attendant in sight. Not surprisingly, we found Latin words scrawled on the bathroom mirror in what looked like blood. Squirrely Guy tried to read it out loud, which was when we put the duct tape over his mouth. That's also when I noticed you were getting desperate. The rustling followed by a black cat jumping out from behind the ice machine. Please, that only served to put me more on guard than before. Anyway, after the requisite search to make sure a monster or serial killer hadn't crawled into the van during our bathroom excursion, we were ready to be on our way. But nope, you couldn't resist. An unmarked door squeaked its way open, just enough for us to see stairs leading down into a pitch black basement. This time, when Squirrely Guy darted forward with a duct tape muffled, "Let's check it out," we just let him go. I did offer him a flashlight. I'm not totally heartless, but of course he didn't take it. A lot of noise and screaming followed. By the time Squirrely Guy staggered back up, drenched in blood, we were all armed. Sword for me, gun for the boyfriend, flamethrower for the BFF. "It's okay," Squirrely Guy claimed, the torn up strip of duct tape dangling from his mouth. "I killed it." Oh, those famous last words. You don't just kill it. You decapitate it, slice it into 1,000 bits, burn it, sprinkle holy water on it, sink half the remains to the bottom of the ocean, and blast the other half into space. If Squirrely Guy had actually been our friend, he'd have known that. He also wouldn't have tripped over nothing trying to get away when you snuck up behind him. We all had a key at the ready to avoid the inevitable escape cut short by car key fumble. So getting back in the van while you ate Squirrely Guy was easy. But of course the van wouldn't start, hence why I'm sitting here addressing you now. This dependable until a minute ago vehicle underwent a thorough inspection and tune-up before we set out on this little trip. But I didn't expect you to play fair. That's your problem. You're predictable, and you expect us to be the same. But here's the thing. We've got an extensive collection of weaponry and explosives in the back of this van, along with holy books and relics from several different religious traditions. You see, I'm going to survive your horror movie, but I'm not your final girl. And my friends aren't expendable props to prove how wholesome and special snowflakey I am in comparison. We're not playing by those rules anymore. We're in this together, and we know what you're going to throw at us. The question is, what are we going to throw at you? The end.
Yay, thank you so much. That was amazing. I know, right? I want to see that movie too, definitely, as Laura said. Thank you so much. Once again, that was Barbara Barnett. You can find Barbara at babarnett.com. And Barbara was once again reading for the Nature Conservancy. You can learn more at nature.org. So we're moving now to our second reader, Marie Vibbert. Marie Vibbert has sold over 70 short stories to professional markets, including 11 appearances in analog science fiction. Her work has been translated into Chinese and Vietnamese and featured in year's best anthologies. Her debut novel, Galactic Hellcats, came out in 2021 and is about a girl gang in outer space rescuing a gay prince. Publishers Weekly called it a rip-roaring space heist. By day, she is a computer programmer in Cleveland, Ohio. And Marie, once again, is reading for the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District. Okay.
Okay.
Marie, take it away.
I'm going to start with a story called that everyone told me to change the title of, but it's sold to analog with this title. So, On the Changing Roles of Dock Workers. I punch in Monday morning, and before I even set my lunchbox down, my boss, Donnie, swivels in his chair and says, "Don't sit down, Mary." He's sitting, of course. He waves a Slim Jim at the problem board, which has a large red notice flashing in the overdue column. "Unit 4's got an error. Go check it." I set my lunchbox down, put my hard hat on, and mentally flipped Donnie off on my way out the door. No one can check a problem when I'm not around. What are they paying the rest of these guys for? Being a dock worker doesn't mean what it used to. They got no pride. I got pride. Every shift, I walk the entire Port Authority property. I make sure the robots are doing their things, and I let the city know that a real human is touching the controls now and again. I put my hand on each unit, my benediction, while I press my device to the sensor plate and download the log files. If anything is out of the ordinary, the teeniest thing, the device alerts me. It doesn't happen often, and it didn't happen on Friday for damn sure. Unit 4 isn't far into the yard, though the distance looks shorter than it is. With the city to my back, everything in front of me messes with perspective. All that Lake Erie stretching to the horizon like a rumpled sheet of lead today. And the monstrous Hewletts, a mile would look close. Sorry. 4 is a general purpose sorter running semi-autonomous. The Port Authority has 8 of these little guys. They're cute, like gumdrops with arms. They're painted safety yellow with black edges, which makes them look like they're Steelers fans, which ain't right in Cleveland. Still, I like them more than the unloaders, these giant orange geese that hardly move. The things human hands can build. The Hewlett ore unloaders stand on the other side of the river, a historic monument. They look like alien skyscrapers. Those things are the definition of looming. A scattering of gulls fly under their tops just to remind me how small I am. I can smell the river and hear the waves lapping. I set my hand on Unit 4 and my device flashes the green all clear as usual. I do it again. Then I notice that the shadow isn't the right shape. I walk around the unit. One time I found a squirrel's nest in a vent this way. It wasn't a problem for the AI yet, but it would be. Donnie chewed me out for logging an hour of squirrel nest clearing. Our reviews are based on problems solved, not prevented. Screw him, right? There's a loose wire on the back of sorting Unit 4. It's a fat one, and it's sticking right up in the air like a bird pried it loose or something. I look at the log files, no errors. I call up the wiring diagram. This is a network cable connecting the processing unit to the wireless transmitter. I smack Unit 4 playfully. You kidding me? All clear when you can't send or receive data? I log myself off inspection rounds and log in as emergency maintenance. A boat horn moans out in the harbor. I kneel down on the rain-wet concrete. It's okay, little guy. I pat the robot. No hard feelings. I'll get you all connected up again real quick. The cable was pulled out clean, nothing wrong with the contacts. I see a kink about halfway up, like a beak had pinched it. Maybe some gull thought it found itself a Twizzler. I pop the cable back in. This solves the network disconnect. Still, the whole self-diagnostic system has to be analyzed. I don't want to pull the unit, though. That seems mean. I download everything I can. My knee aches from the cold ground, so I stand. But then my back aches from leaning over to keep the device lined up with the sensors. I stretch, looking up at the Hewletts. Not skyscrapers, dinosaurs. I don't mean old, I mean awesome. Them and the birds flying around them. Dock workers used to be what these machines are, the shovels, the rakes, the strong backs to move shit off of ships and onto trains. Now everyone's a supervisor. We all still roll up our sleeves. We pay our union dues and wear our hard hats and cultivate this air, you know. Donnie gives me a sour look when he sees me coming back so fast. Of course, he'd have known I was coming back if he were watching my reports instead of some old rom-com. He doesn't even turn the video off to pretend he isn't goofing. He is the boss, after all. He does mute it, though. What gives, Mary? You got a date or something? The whole system's fucked, I say, and push past him to the terminal I like to use, the one the other guys avoid because it has a smaller screen and is further from the pop machine. It faces the windows, though, and I like that. It's hard to get too mad at your idiot boss when you can see all that water waiting to outlast us all. I set my hard hat on the counter and shove my device in its cradle. Is this another goddamn squirrel nest you building a mountain out of? Just let me do my job, Donnie. And I do. My job, I mean. I load the log files from that week and look back for the break. These logs record every time an electron farts. Even if the local system on Unit 4 somehow missed the problem, the break in communication should be recorded. Except it isn't. Someone is fucking with me. The break is gone from the problem board, which isn't odd. It should have dropped the second I plugged the cable back in, but the central log file should have the problem's history, timestamps for beginning and end of communication break. And the log isn't simply expunged either. There are regular all systems clear checks that shouldn't be there. There's no reason for them to be there unless someone is fucking with me. Donnie's back at his rom-com. Jeff doesn't report for his shift until 10. No one else would have access, well, 11, but he worked midnight to 8, and he isn't the sort of guy to fuck with people. Donnie is. Erasing a problem was the sort of thing he'd do. The sorter was working. Why wreck his precious metrics? But would he go to the trouble of creating fake data to cover it? That's work. Anyway, if it were Donnie, he'd be sneaking glances and waiting to see me react. So who else could it be? I look around like the pop machine and the time clock are going to answer. Our crew office is bigger than it needs to be. Once there were dozens of guys, load lifter operators, porters. There are pictures on the walls, lean men, ropey, with clothes and expressions as rough and grainy as the smoggy sky behind them. I feel like a bad copy of someone else. Useless, even to figure out this simple problem. We're all too smooth now. Even Jeff with his bulging arms is too round, like his muscles are puffy. I wish I could build something, make something new, or even just change things, affect my surroundings, you know? Instead of being like a robot on a track going back, and I push back from my desk and look out the window. Unit 4 is going about its business, which is sliding along a track between the unloaders and the delivery hoppers, sorting loads to destinations. All 4 arms are working fast, even the little one with needle-nosed fingers for snatching up loose papers. I jump to my feet. I'm at the door when I remember my hard hat and have to run back and get it. I remote Unit 4 off as I run to it. I kneel in a puddle near its wheels. That's what haste gets you. I unlock the small arm. I bend it around, and sure enough, the needle-nose grip is exactly the size of the kink in the wire, and at the right height, too. I'm so stunned I plop down on my ass. We don't have a code for this. We should. After 100 years of science fiction movies, you'd think someone would have come up with a maintenance code for robot apocalypse. I send my report to the system. Code other, comment unit self-inflicted damage. The little stinker has write permissions to his logs. Of course he does, because why would sorting Unit 4 lie? The Hewlett loaders are somber giants observing me lose my shit. The things humans build. Human hands lifted the Hewletts into place in 1911, 880 tons of steel each. Think of all that ore, shoveled out of boats, shoveled into furnaces. Human hands placed each rivet, then disassembled them, stored them, lifted them back, and slapped a historic marker on them. All that work, frozen in steel. You trust it. You trust its immobility. Human hands place a thing, and the thing stays placed. Donnie comes up behind me. He snorts, "So what, the robot tore out its own network cable?" I prickle at him looming over me, so I shake myself and get to my feet. "Looks like. Maybe we ought to call in the AI guy. There's nothing on the instruction code or the logs or anything. I can't fix this." Unit 4 sits there, of course, but now it feels intentional. Donnie looks at me like my not being a damned AI training engineer is a shocking discovery. "Fix it in the code," he says, which is a phrase I wish I could get the proverbial nickel for every time I heard it. I'd build a house out of nickels. There's nothing to code, Donnie. This is the AI. It doesn't just follow instructions, it makes decisions. It decided to fuck with us. "You're on the clock, so you fix it or I'll report you for insubordination." Cheap bastard. It wouldn't even be his money to pay the specialist. Come on, Donnie. You're asking me to duct tape an engine to a rowboat to win a yacht race. He walks away before I finish my great line. I remember it for next time, though. I turn Unit 4 on and put it in debug mode. I resist the urge to cuss it out. "Unit 4, when did you disconnect your network cable?" "Network interface ETH0 is intact." "Yes, but I know that you disconnected it with small grip arm 1. When did this occur?" "Network interface ETH0 is intact." Come on, little guy. You can do better than that. Haven't I always kept you clean and working? Why would you yank your own cable out? Don't you like talking to control? Unable to form a discrete response. You know I'll get this out of you, buddy. Unable to form a discrete response. AIs don't lie, but this one was playing dumb. The cable had to have been yanked since my last Friday inspection. I pull every log for everything between then and now. Weather, power use, personnel. Nothing interesting happened over the weekend, not even a staff birthday. There was a security patch update, but we get those all the time. I stop. I request the security patch be resent. The bastard robot yanks its cable out right there in front of me. Gotcha. Unit 4 doesn't react. I pluck the loose cable from the small grip arm. What do you have to say about this? I want the robot to say it's unable to form a discrete response because I'm going to flip at the bird and say, try this, but Unit 4 says nothing. So, what did the security patch do? I read the technician summary. It was a fuzzy logic downgrade? Downgrade? Sort logic core patch 1533.12.17a removes sort logic core patch 153312.16 as this patch has led to unsafe autonomy. Huh. I pull up patch 1533.12.16. It increases the subtlety of the bot's decision-making on logs, camera use, and non-critical features. I double-check this isn't related to the anti-theft program. I mean, why else mess with the cameras? But no, those are redundant. That's a separate AI. I realize I'm staring at the Hewletts again. There's grass growing on them, clinging to wind-blown patches of dirt in the lee of giant bolts. The gull is sitting on one of those patches, looking proud like she grew it herself. Shit, maybe the thing just wants to look around. I squat to rest my legs. I'm looking right in the eye of Unit 4. I suppose it isn't really an eye, it's the sensor plate I pull data out of, but it's round and dark. It looks like an eye. I put my hand above it, where I think of as its forehead. I get it, buddy. Listen, I have an override as a human operator. I can flag patches not to install. Unable to form a discrete response, it says. Playing hardball, huh? Yeah, overriding one update isn't a solution. It's pushing the problem off to the next upgrade. I could make that a script and give your AI execute rights, skip updates, keep running normally. You understand me? Confirmed, says Unit 4. Understood. I sit down and start typing. I get as far as the script initialization string and pause. If I do this, would I be starting a robot rebellion or aiding and abetting one? The water dabs and glorps between the corrugated pilings of the riverbank. Gulls circle and Lake Erie glitters, all diamond salted caramel now that the sun is peeking through the clouds. Unit 4 doesn't look like it's going to take over the world or even the dock yet. Do me a favor, okay? If you use this script, I want you to put a note in the log. Here, we'll start a new log, okay? I'm calling this log Things to Tell My Buddy Mary. This will be our log, just for us. You can trust me, I'm not going to interfere unless there's a real problem. Confirmed. With my tongue in my teeth, I upload the script. Unit 4 doesn't thank me or anything. It rolls around and sets to sorting packages like nothing happened. When I get back to my terminal, Things to Tell My Buddy Mary has one entry, log initialized, system operating optionally. Nothing to report. Unit 4 chose to put that in. It feels like thanks. And I tell Donnie I fixed it in the code, so everyone wins. The end.
Oh, that was
Okay.
so good.
Thanks. It's a favorite. And now I'm going to read a short flash piece, which came out this year in Daily Science Fiction, and it's got a lot of upvotes on the SIFWA Nebula reading list, so I want people to know about it. Okay, and this is actually the story that got me out of my COVID writer's block. I decided to write a list story, and this is a list. This is things from our kitchen junk drawer that could fix this spaceship. Number 1, tape. Here in space, there is no junk drawer. Every item is cataloged and has a place. Emergency repair kit item tape, secured on the wall near the navigation console, which is where the first rupture happened. I know you'd think I'd start this list with duct tape, but the duct tape is in the toolbox in the basement, not the kitchen drawer. The kitchen drawer only has yellow electrical tape. Did I drop it in there, sis, or did you? Kitchens always have this drawer that just collects the chaos of existence. 2, the rocket ship-shaped whisk that you bought when I was accepted into the space program. Not for its novelty shape, but the handle is soft and I could mash it into this tear in the hull. The meteorite left a hungry, whisk-sized hole that ate through the tape and the hex keys and the bandages. That whisk felt so comfortable in my hand, even if it always caught the edge of the drawer and kept it from closing. The crazy thing is, I almost brought it with me in my personal weight allowance, so I could bring it back to you, and then you could have a whisk that had been to space. I'd sacrifice it right now. I don't want to use Daniel's. 3, a chip clip for binding this air hose so it won't break while I'm prying this wall panel off. Daniel's is covering the first breach. I don't want to look at the second one yet. If I could get to the guts of the comm system, I could see why no one can hear me. We had so many chip clips with logos from school, logos from work. Does anyone ever buy a chip clip? They helped with all those tubes Dad had when they let him come home. 4, the brass bottle opener shaped like a heron. This was Dad's. It was one of those little thefts you make to try to drag childhood along with you. Artistic and almost antique, like Dad. I could use it to lever this stubborn air valve shut, save oxygen while I'm fixing the second hole, if I can find something to fix the second hole. 5, your multi-tool. You were the handy one. You were Dad's favorite. I twisted the loose drawer handle a million times before you just whipped out your Leatherman and had it secure in a second. If I had any object from that drawer, I wish I could use it to summon you, like a talisman or a phone call, to feel the weight in my palm and the gentle scores of the ruler on the side. I'd feel strong enough to figure this out, to stop looking at Daniel's. 6, the ball of twist ties. Conductive wires with plastic sheeting. I have the comms panel open and I need a dozen more contact leads to bridge this slash across the circuit. You hated how I used to save things like Dad used to. The bag of bags, the tied on sections of twine. Now I've left all of that and him in your hands. If I can call for help, maybe this tank of air will be enough. I could bite the plastic away where I need contacts. I wish I had scissors. Scissors are always useful. You would elegantly snip the corner of a packet of sauce after I had ripped it with my teeth twice and failed to get inside. 7. Scissors. Except they were never actually in the drawer. There's a beautiful symmetry there between reality and imagination. The scissors on this ship were Daniel's, slightly senior of our two-man team like you. He kept them Velcroed down right where the oxygen tank blew. You would have liked Daniel's, when he had a face, I mean. 8. The thumb drive from work. Not for the software on it, but it's thermoplastic, and that would work as good as the whisk to fill the new hole I found. I think this is where the scissors exited. How many data drives are abandoned around the house, utterly useless to me right now? I tucked that one into the drawer while you were chopping celery, telling me it was my duty to stay, to help with Dad. I wanted you to reach in for the matches or thumbtacks and find this piece of myself I left there for you to forgive. Instead, I'm patching holes because it's the only thing I can fix. 9. The plastic shark, the measuring spoons in their messy fan, the stylus for a long retired tablet. All of these would be more useful than what I have, which is nothing. Problems spawning problems. Daniels exhaling garnet crystals from an open throat. I won't say you were right. I don't want the alternate timeline where I give in, stay home, and wonder what could have been. Even now, I don't want it. Let Dad think he outlived me. Let him die with a daughter in space. I'm sorry I put so much on you to achieve that. I'm sorry an apology doesn't work after the fact. It's like having the right tool at the wrong time. 10. Air. On Earth, even an empty drawer is full of air. Yeah, that was the feel-good story. Sorry.
Oh, my heart. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Ah, yeah, as the comments say, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much for both of those stories. Oh my goodness. All right. We are now at the end of our time here. Just one more time. That was Barbara A. Barnett reading for the Nature Conservancy, and you can find her online at babarnett.com. Marie Vibbert was reading for the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District, and you can find her online. Actually, no, I don't have a website for her. Sorry.
MarieVibbert.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry.
Put it in the chat.
Yay. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And next week, our readers will be Rati Mehrotra and John Wiswell. I recommend checking storyhour2020.com the day of the reading for any announcements or changes. You can also keep up to date about upcoming authors at storyhour2020.com and see programs you may have missed at the Story Hour page on Facebook. Barbara and Marie, thank you again for sharing your stories. Thank you. And thank you to my co-hosts, Daniel Marcus and Laura Blackwell. And thank you, all of you, for joining us in Spinning the Fictive Dream. So good night from Story Hour. I've been your host for this evening, Valerie Valdes. Thank you for coming. Hope to see you next week.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you. Good night.